Hi League of Lit fam, welcome back to another episode of the 10-year anniversary Jules and Monty re-review. Today we are talking about episode 9.
I think today's episode's going to be fun. So let's just hop right into episode 9. Already know, just based off of the music and the title card, this is kind of a filler episode. It's something that you don't necessarily get to see in the sense of it's not like we're getting to see a whole lot of back and forth in the source material of, oh, here's Romeo and Juliet being cute and adorable. They're going and doing different things because dating kind of looked different in that time period. And so there would be no reason to see that. So in translating it, you got to kind of have those moments because otherwise it would look extra rash if they just went straight to, let's get married. I think this is the fun part of the modernization of Shakespeare plays and Austen novels and any other pieces of classic literature, because there are certain things where it's like, in that time period, it makes perfect sense, but in today's world, it doesn't. So how do you make it fit today's world? Because the reason why these stories are still studied is because of the universal truths that they hold, because there are still things that you can pull from. Even though the main thing from Romeo and Juliet is don't date, you'll die. As we so cleverly phrased when we dove into Romeo and Juliet on the podcast, which if you've never listened to that, you should, because we have so many more things other than just Jules and Monty that we talk about, even though Jules and Monty is a big chunk of what we talk about in that episode. So do with that what you will. But this episode, if you like adorable, sappy stuff, this is that adorable, sappy stuff. So, you've been warned. Or you have been told what you could, be super excited about.
This episode starts with Nancy just desperately trying to get Jules to be in a video, which apparently is a little too much to ask right now. Jules is a little preoccupied with her study thing with Monty, which it's so funny to think about. These videos are on the internet, so relatively speaking, they're out there for everybody to see. And we've already seen the two of them be, and for Jules to feel the need to correct herself just always really makes me laugh, but we see why later.
Right here at the top, Nancy is letting her know, hey, Jules, you haven't been in a vlog for a while, which is news to us as an audience because we're only seeing what has been selected. It's not like some of the other adaptations, like some other web series where it's you might have some of these little filler things that have nothing to do with the plot. It's just, oh, hey, we've agreed to have this consistent posting schedule. And so this is where it's the timeline can kind of feel a little bit rushed at times, but it honestly doesn't feel rushed with Jules and Monty, because in case you haven't put it together, we're posting these on the same day or as best as we can, as around the same time as the episodes were originally posted. So some of this kind of all works out. Some of it, I don't know, because episode 1 was the beginning of a semester, and here we are, episode 9, supposed to be kind of mid-semester, around midterms-ish, maybe. But Nancy here is letting us know Jules hasn't been in a vlog in a while, and she has to be in them since they are working on the vlog project together. They both have to be present in it, so that way they continue to get good grades on their check-ins.
I really love Nancy taking all of the power in her editorship in this relationship. She is not here for it. She's like, Jules got to be in the vlog. So Jules is going to be in the vlog. I'm going to make her be in the vlog. And how am I going to do that?
Montage. Play the music.
A montage of me slightly seeming like I'm stalking Jules and Monty around campus. Normal things. Also, I'm going to mention the vlogs in every episode because I love watching them. They're some of my favorite behind the scenes anything. The vlog logs of them filming the montage, which they literally just like went around campus one day at Tufts and filmed this, is so funny because their cameraman Ben just had to be in kind of all these weird different spaces, specifically on the playground, in order to film this, and it just makes me laugh every time I think about it, and it just adds to the hilarity of that moment. We come back from the montage to Jules finally being on camera without having to be like coerced into it. She's like, I'm so sorry, I've been absent, I've been a little busy, being in a secret relationship. She comes back around to what I was talking about earlier with that it's okay that this is on the internet, because the only thing that fraternity boys care about is, videos of like girls in bikinis and stuff. They're not looking up my vlog video for my communications class, which like just shows you that Ed and Imogen, when they were writing this, really thought of every question that you could ask as a viewer. What could go wrong? And they were like, well, we'll tell you why that's not going to be necessarily what goes wrong in that moment. So it's just very, very well done. I love this very like slightly intimate, because obviously we know Nancy's off to the side, just on her side of the dorm, but this slightly intimate moment of Jules kind of having this realization with the camera that she, is kind of thinking she's in love. She really likes spending time with Monty. She feels like time slows down, and Monty like slipping in and hearing, at least the tail end of her speech. And, he's feeling kind of the same way. You can tell by the way he kind of like puffs up and he smiles. I'm such a sucker for romance. So for me, and I remember watching it back, it's just one of my favorite moments between the two of them, that it's just so, I think, indicative of the relationship that Romeo and Juliet, I think, really thought they had before, everything kind of crashed and burned. But, you have to think of the before. We're not there yet.
But then we do eventually get to see Jules after a few minutes of montage, and we get to kind of see where Jules is at, because Jules finally decided to talk to the camera. And it's very fun. You get to see it sets up a little bit of what's to come. And Monty makes an appearance and he visits and he's like, oh, I'm so glad that, Nancy has got you vlogging again. And, the reason why Monty has arrived is because he forgot that he has to go to the administration's annual get along party for Mu Tau Gamma and Kappa Alpha Psi. So because of that, they are not going to be able to do movies like they had originally planned. Jules proposes the fun little girls' night, and Nancy's like, yeah, I gotta go too, because she is dating Ty, whether they have officially stated that they are.
This episode is a really great, I think, look into the relationship of Jules and Monty, really to give you an indication of how short it is. Because obviously, again, knowing this source material of Romeo and Juliet, which happens over the course of like 3 or 4 days, I mean, Jules and Monty have so little time together, and you really get that. I think the montage is really kind of a metaphor for that. That this is, the beautiful encapsulation of this great relationship, that in the end, I mean, it is Romeo and Juliet. Something has to go wrong, right?
This episode, I think the highlight of it, which is what, like, when I hear the music that they have selected for this episode and see the title card, it's like, oh yes, this is the montage episode. So if you ever just want something that's like sappy, cute, and full of joy, episode 9 is the one that you just need to just pluck out and watch for yourself, because Ed and Imogen are stinking adorable. And everything that they're doing is just, it's cute, it's fun. And this is it's a joyful episode, even though this play that they are adapting is not a joyful play. So it's that like spot of light in the midst of all of the tragedy that is to come. So that's all there is for this episode. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next episode. Thanks for tuning in to this very special edition of League of Lit.
Make sure that you follow us at League of Lit Podcast on Instagram and League of Lit Pod on TikTok.
If you have any suggestions for an episode, feel free to leave a comment at leagueoflit.tumblr.com.